everyone, welcome back. Scarlett here, continuing with the Abductor, chapter 3 today. I'm sorry I'm behind. It's not my fault, I swear. Okay, jump right in. Chapter 3, Retribution. It is now 6 p.m. and Damien has returned home from work. As he walks through the door, he realizes it is far too quiet in the house without Dan around. He decides against the idea of getting a new butler, at least for the moment. He doesn't know how long it will take to fully trust someone with what he does for fun. He heads into the kitchen to get a bottle of water when he sees Victoria's car and remembers he needs to get someone to remove the vehicle off his property. Calmly, he pulls out his phone and places a call advising the person that there's a car in his driveway that needs to be removed and that the keys will be inside. The lid to the gas tank and his payment will be in the trunk. Damien now has to go into his gym so he can get his evening workout in before he heads downstairs for the night to have fun with Victoria. He does his set of weights, sit-ups, and push-ups before heading outside to get his mile jog. He looks out the window and debates if he should make up for the jog he skipped this morning. But if he should do the mile and leave it at that, or if he should do the mile and leave it at that, He just starts to jog and will determine what to do while he's out there feeling the moment. Full of excitement on what he's doing and what he's going to do when he gets home, he decides to just do the mile and chalk the morning mile as a loss. While he heads back home, he stops by Christina's house to make sure she's doing okay after what he witnessed yesterday. He looks around and calls out for her, but no answer. Concern takes over him since he knows her mother is unreliable. Anything could have happened to her. He notices her mother's car in the driveway. He calls out to Miss Crisp while walking throughout the property, looking to see if Christina's outside. He stumbles upon her mother passed out drunk in the backyard as he walks up to her. Miss Crisp is getting sunburnt throughout her already naturally tanned body as he tries to wake her up. "Where's your daughter?" "Where's my little Christina? Where's my angel? I don't know where she is," Miss Crisp replies, crying. "What? What do you mean you don't know? Don't you ever look after her, or are you always drunk and never know crap that goes on around you?" Damien asks, annoyed. No, that's not the case. I love my little angel," Miss Crisp replies. "What the hell is the matter with you? She's your child. Come on, let's go to my house so I can get my car. We can go look for her," Damien says before she can get a word in. "Okay, whatever you think is best," she replies, trying to make sense of the situation. After 20 minutes, they finally arrive at his house, amazed that she's still moving after taking so long to get back to his house. Damien offers her a seat on the porch, which she gladly accepts. It is getting harder for her to keep her balance. He prepares some coffee, which he tells her she needs before they head out to look for Christina. Knowing that this is what's best for the search, she agrees to have the coffee and to sober up a bit. She doesn't want Christina to see her like this. Damien informs her it is far too late to think like that. Christina has seen far worse. Damien extends the invitation to Miss Crisp to come inside the house and into the kitchen. It's easier for him to keep an eye on her, and more importantly, it will keep her from accidentally breaking something on his property. "I don't know if I should go in," she says. "Why not? Are you afraid you won't be coming back outside?" Damien asks, laughing. "Not at all. I'm just worried I'll break something. I always bump into everything, and I can tell you have expensive things, unlike my house. At times it can look like a disaster zone," she replies. "Nonsense. It will be okay. If you break something, I will simply replace it after collecting from your flesh," Damien says, laughing as he opens the door. Sorry. They walk inside the house. Damien excuses himself and heads toward the kitchen. He already has the coffee brewing as Miss Crisp looks throughout the house, admiring all his belongings. He prepares her cup of coffee, adding the sugar and a little bit of a mystery ingredient, which he claims will make her wake up in a heartbeat. She doesn't care as long as it is something strong. He guarantees her that it is the strongest thing inside the house besides him. He gives her a smile, thinking he's flirting with her. She drinks a cup of coffee quickly so she can focus her attention on him, but begins to feel extremely dizzy and hits the floor. She loses consciousness, believing she's been drugged. Damien lifts her onto his shoulders, takes her to one of the rooms upstairs, and throws her onto the ground. He walks into the closet, removes two shelves, and heads through another hidden door, leading him to the basement. In his absence, Mrs. Crisp hasn't moved. Inside the basement, Damien grabs a hammer, 4 railroad spikes, and a blowtorch, a pair of pliers, and superglue. Satisfied with the items he has grabbed, he thinks about what else he could do to make sure Miss Crisp is educated in a way she'll never forget. Walking back towards the hidden door, he sees a leather mask and belt covered in spikes that he believes could help serve his purpose of intimidation. He grabs them before heading back upstairs. Now that he's back in her presence, he sees that she's still unconscious. He uses the crane that he has in the room to lift her into place as he places a spike on her left hand and hammers her onto the wall and repeats the process with the right hand. He looks at her and realizes that this new drug, xylazine, that he found on the black market is in one of his recent trips to Puerto Rico, is well worth a high price. He nails her feet to the wall as well. Amused over having his own crucifixion center in his own house, he can barely contain the excitement for when she wakes up. He has managed to unburden her of her motherhood duties. Taking advantage of the fact that he cannot have any fun with her yet, he decides it might be best for him to check on Victoria. That way he can feed and give her some company before the main event for the evening. He walks into the room and heads down the stairs without turning on the lights so she cannot see him coming with a dish of food. He waits at the bottom of the stairs, just watching her in the dark. Victoria feels like there's someone in the room. She calls out for help as she tries not to bother the rats. Damien doesn't say a word and walks over to the cage. My poor little beauty queen, I got you some food and water. I don't wish to see you fade away on me. You call that food? Victoria replies. Well, it's food for you. Nothing of interest to me. How can you treat me like this? Why would you treat me like this? Victoria asks. All in time, my dear. For now, all you need to know is that you aren't going anywhere anytime soon, you should truly forget about your old life, your family, pets, friends, job, and everything else that you deemed important. As of yesterday, you have been reborn, and you're going to effing like it. Now get the F out of the cage so you can eat your effing food. Once you're done, I'm going to wash you down with a power washer so we can get all that crap and stink off of you. Ooh, I made my hair a mess, didn't I? What happened to you? Victoria replies. I thought we were friends and had something special. We can make anything work, can't we? I'm not interested in having a discussion or anything of the sort. All I want to know is if you like rock music. So, do you? Damien answers as he ignores her previous question. Sometimes I find it very relaxing, Victoria answers out of fear. Well then, wash your face with some of this water I so generously brought you and eat your food while I put on the rock station. We can enjoy some music. Petrified, Victoria washes her face with ice-cold water while Damien turns on the radio and grabs a heavy bag. Damien calls Victoria, causing her to turn around before she's done washing her face. He swings the heavy bag, hitting her straight across the face, breaking her nose. She falls to the ground sobbing as he laughs. He walks over and removes her hands from her face and notices he has knocked out 3 of her teeth, causing him to laugh even harder. He mocks her, telling her that this year he can use her for Halloween as the blood pours out of her mouth and nose. He reveals what he has inside the bag, which is full of chains and rocks. She looks on horrified, not knowing what he'll do to her next. She lets out some urine and accidentally craps herself out of fear he'll kick her. He'll kill her. He looks on while she struggles to maintain her composure. She's suffering a meltdown given she's been locked inside a cage and has just got her nose broken. Thinking of ways to get her to move again, either towards the cage or to her food, Damien reaches into the cage and pulls out one of the rats and places it on the floor next to her. She doesn't react. Instead, she continues with her meltdown as if nothing else is going on around them. Damien grabs the rat and throws it back in the cage while Victoria stands slowly. He turns and looks at her, eagerly awaiting her next move. Struggling to move properly, he reaches down to grab a rock and throws it towards her leg, hitting her right knee. She falls to the ground in pain once more. He doesn't believe she's in that much agony from a rock to the knee. He believes she might be playing possum with him. She waits for him to drop his guard so she can run out of the room. He decides to play along to see if that's the case and steps back a few steps. He goes to the corner of the room where he grabs a power washer, a bag of ice melt, and a bottle of alcohol. He hoses the room and cage down so it is nice and sanitary for her. He doesn't want her to catch an infection or illness. At the end of the day, he does care for her and her well-being. Now that everything is sanitized, he grabs Victoria off the floor, telling her to bite on this piece of wood and hold onto something very tight. What he's going to do next is going to hurt. He tends to her injuries and wounds inflicted by the rats. He empties the bottle of alcohol on her body and rubs some of the ice melt against her wounds throughout her entire body. He places duct tape over her nose to hold it in place. He lets her rest for a few minutes before removing the piece of wood out of her mouth and grabs another bottle of alcohol. She looks on, wondering what he's going to do next. He pulls out a mouth prop to keep her from biting his fingers. Mocking the situation, he pokes a little fun about how strange the human mouth looks without any teeth. She tries to spit out the prop as he opens the bottle of alcohol. He forcefully pushes her back down to the floor and pours the entire bottle into her mouth as he quickly removes the prop, forcing her mouth shut once the last drop is out of the bottle. He holds her mouth shut as he wants her to swallow the alcohol to clean and kill any bacteria in her mouth. He doesn't let go of her mouth until she has swallowed it all, causing her to vomit everything she had in her stomach. Once she's done throwing up, Damien grabs the power washer once more and hoses her off. Crying in agony, Victoria doesn't know how else to react at the moment. She knows she's too weak to fight him off. Annoyed with the crying, he yells at her to cut it out. It isn't fun to hear a grown person cry like a newborn and warns her that things will be worse if she does not listen. Damien, unable to get her to stop crying and not willing to deal with it any longer, grabs her by the neck and throws her back inside the cage with the wet rats. He sits next to the cage, watching the wet rats look for a warm place to hide. They rub up against her, while a few try to find entry inside her body. They won't find one since Damien sealed all the open wounds. The struggles continue as a rat has managed to find its way to the back of Victoria. She has been preventing the others from entering her mouth when suddenly she feels a sharp pain near her anus. Ew. Damien laughs, interested to see if the rat, the size of a cat, can manage to fit inside her. Damien looks in awe as the rat has managed to climb inside her completely, including its tail. He stands and opens the cage to hose the rats off her. He decides it's best to remove the rat from inside her to prevent any serious issues or the rat from dying. He yanks her out of the cage once more and places her face down on the table. She needs to be completely relaxed and not to tighten her buttocks. Still seeing some of the tail, he pulls on it, trying to drag it out. It sticks its claws and digs deep in her flesh in an attempt to stay inside. Victoria is crying and trying to resist the urge of tightening up. Damien tells her that she's doing great and he has a part of the tail out and that the rest will be out soon. He grabs a screwdriver and once again warns her of the importance of remaining as calm as possible. Damien loops up the screwdriver as he gently slides it into her anus to kill or stick in the rat to pull it out. Wow. He manages to stick the rat up its own butt and pulls out the rat. Washing her anus with alcohol, she can no longer contain her screams. Don't you worry. You're not going back in the cage. I'm giving you your own room. Why can't you just let me go? She asks. Why would I let you leave me again? Wasn't one heartbreak enough for you? Damien answers. Please, Damien, I'm sorry about what happened in high school, but that was 20 years ago. My dad didn't let me go because he didn't have the money to get me a dress, she replies. He doesn't say a word. I know I hurt you, and for that I am sorry. I truly am. But there's no need for this. Don't you have a heart? Still no reply. Indeed, you did change a lot after high school, but there's no denying that. Sorry. denying that, Damien, but it hasn't been for the best. Yes, you have money, are in great shape. You have everything you've ever dreamed of, but what you're lacking is the one thing money can't buy. That's love. I'm talking about happiness. I deeply believe you have severe issues. You're definitely not the same guy I dated for 3 years. So, if you want to kill me, go ahead. Victoria sounds off out of frustration and pain. In the meantime, Damien doesn't say a word while he processes everything Victoria just said. He is determined to find a new way to teach her a lesson as his expression goes from confused and thoughtful to sinister. Victoria realizes he's thinking way too much and is afraid of what he'll do to her next. She recalls that he has never been fond of being spoken to in that manner. Damien paces back and forth like a caged animal, smiling at her and coming closer and closer to her. She closes her eyes, hoping he'll leave her alone for the night. The moment she opens her eyes, she sees he's standing right in front of her. Their noses are almost touching. In a split second, he grabs her by the hair and kicks her in the stomach, dropping her to the ground. Once on the floor, she crawls underneath the table to get some shelter from him, but he reaches under the table and wraps her arms with barbed wire, tying her to the table legs. Screaming, Victoria pleads for him to stop, but Damien reaches into his right pocket and pulls out a bandana, placing it in her mouth. Not wanting to hear or answer Victoria, he whacks her again with a heavy bag, knocking her unconscious. She was unable to block the blow. He prepares to take her to the room he set up for her. Damien leaves her in the special room and heads into his spa room so he can relax his muscles from the tension and pressure he has been putting them through recently. Just when he is ready to jump into the ice-filled tub, he is disturbed by a knock at the door. He stops to see if the person will go away, but the knocking continues, much to his dismay. He slowly walks out of the room and heads downstairs, annoyed to be interrupted. He is surprised to see Christina Crisp crying at the door because she's unable to locate her mother. Don't worry, Christina. She's probably at the store getting food for tonight, Damien says, wiping the tears from her cheeks. No, Mom doesn't cook because she's always sleeping from all the drinking. I always eat at my grandma's after school, Christina replies. Is your stepfather home now? Does he take care of you? Damien asks, angry over the details she let out. He's a very good man. He works all day and doesn't get home until 10 p.m. and it's only 7, Christina answers. Well, you are welcome to stay here until he gets home if you like. I just need to jump in the shower. I need to relax after a long day. In the meantime, you can watch television. I also have a vast movie collection, video games, and food in case you're hungry. So please, make yourself at home, Damien states. Thank you, Damien, but I'm tired. Can I take a nap on your couch? Christina asks with a smile. Not on the couch, but you're more than welcome to use my guest room. Okay, thanks. If you can please wake me up at 9:30 to see my stepfather when he gets home, Christina asks. Will do, my dear. Just relax and remember Mommy is okay and we'll be home soon. Thanks, Damien. I'm happy that you're my friend, Christina says as she falls asleep. Damien heads back to the spa room but decides he's better off just taking a warm shower instead of jumping into the tub of ice. He takes his time in the shower, letting the water hit every surface of his body. He rubs his shoulders, arms, and legs to relieve some of the tension throughout his body, worried that Victoria or Miss Crisp might make a sound that will let Christina know that they aren't alone in the house. He shortens the time in the shower and rushes to get dressed. Now out of the shower, he walks over to the guest room. He has a strange feeling inside him, which is almost satanic. He stands in the doorway and sees that she's still sleeping. Reaching into his back pocket, he pulls out a pocket knife. He has decided this is for the best. He could rid himself of what he feels for her. Standing over her, he lets it be known that everything will be okay. This agony will come to an end soon. He raises the knife over his head, contemplating striking her. His expression changes once more. He puts the knife behind his back. He wants her to have a better life without any more suffering or pain. He wonders of ways to make this work, but without there being a problem for him or her. He knows she has been through a lot. He looks on as she starts to open her eyes. Is everything okay, Damien? Christina asks. Everything is just perfect, my dear. Your stepfather just got home. Let's take you home so he doesn't worry. Okay. Thanks. For everything, Damien, she replies. Anytime, my dear. They walk back towards her house, and Damien once again reassures that everything will work out for the best, no matter what the outcome is. Christina nods in approval. She lets him know that the only thing she ever wanted was for her mother to stop drinking so they can spend more time together. Damien hugs her and once again lets her know he's there for her, no matter what happens. Christina thanks him and tells him she's going to run towards the door since they are already there. Damien tells her that he won't dream of stopping her from doing what she wants. Damien looks on as Christina runs to her stepfather. Thank you, sir. I'm Paul Duncan, the man says with tears of joy as he hugs Christina. It's no problem at all. Nice to meet you, Mr. Duncan. I'm Damien Hall, and I live a few houses up the road. I had Christina with me because she came knocking on my door. She couldn't find her mother. Do you know where she is? Honestly, no, I don't. I just got home from work and I leave early in the morning. I'm at a loss most of the time. When I come home, I spend time with her and Christina. Tonight, honestly, was the scariest moment of my life. I came in the door and I didn't see any of them in the house. Once again, I want to thank you for watching over her. Mr. Duncan answers. Well, I'm truly sorry to hear that, believe me. But there's no need to thank me. She's a pleasure to have, and she's so smart and very respectful. In case you need anything, Mr. Duncan, I live 6 houses up on the road on this side of the street, and my cell number is 266-4726. You can call me anytime, and please keep me informed of the status of your wife. Will do. If you need anything, I'll help you out when I'm home. Oh, and please call me Paul, Mr. Duncan says. Sounds good, and is truly appreciated. There's no need to call me Mr. Hall either. Damien is just fine. This could be the beginning of a great friendship, given if we can ever find the time to socialize, Paul says. Damien agrees. Hopefully, Stacy will get home soon. This is really not like her to just walk away and be gone for so long, Paul continues. I hope so. Christina is such a great kid, and it breaks my heart to see her crying like that when she couldn't find her mother. Please contact me if she shows up. That way I can feel better over the entire situation. Will do, neighbor. Once again, thank you for everything you have done for Christina. Let me give you something for the trouble. I know how much damage she can do in the kitchen, Paul says, laughing. No, Paul. I can't accept anything. It was my choice, and I would do it anytime and a countless amount of times. She's an amazing kid. Remember, if you need anything or if you need someone to watch over her, just let me know. Same here. Whatever you need, Damien. I'm forever in your debt, my friend. It was a pleasure meeting you and looking forward to the day where we can meet up on happier occasion. Good night, Paul says. I agree, and we will make it happen sooner or later. Good night, my friend. It is now 10:30 and Damien walks back up the road. He takes in the night while basking in what he has at home. Knowing it will lead to great things for the foreseeable future, looking at all the houses and animals in the streets along the way, he comes closer to his house. Finally, he reaches the front door. He enters the access code as the door opens and walks inside. He hears Miss Crisp struggling in his workout room. My God, I don't know if it was the alcohol or in your system or the xylazine, but you were out like a light for a very long time, Damien says, as she doesn't say a word. You know, you have a really nice family. Great people indeed. I especially love your daughter. She was upset because you weren't home. It's a shame that she misses you. But what's really a shame is that you missed her. She was here looking for you. She understands what he is saying finally. Damien walks over to her with another black bag and grabs her by the throat. He shows her the wire cutters and the cheese grater. While he rubs the cheese grater across her face, she finally realizes she's nailed up against the wall and unable to move. He places the gag on her. Her eyes water when all of a sudden he stops to enjoy the tears with an expression on her face. She notices all hope is lost, and the moment she bows her head, he slaps her across the face with a cheese grater, ripping part of her right cheek. Aren't you going to turn the other cheek, Bee? Damien asks as he removes the gag. Why are you doing this to me? Miss Crisp asks, crying. This isn't a punishment. This is your reward for winning Mother of the Year, you damn effing drunk. This is for not appreciating the great things you have in your life, Damien answers angrily. What do you mean? I appreciate everything I have. Everything, she says. Really? You do? You want to lie to me? Okay, I'll play along, but answer me this. Why don't you cook for your daughter? And why the hell would you pass your days drunk off your effing butt to the point you pass out and ignore the wonderful child of yours? Why? My mother takes care of feeding her. Drinking helps me forget about the agony her father put me through. She answers. Is that really your reason? He asks. Yes. I wish I had something different to say, but that's the truth, she replies. Well, Stacy, you're really going to wish you had a crapload of alcohol. I'm going to teach you the pain you have caused the poor girl, and your first lesson in agony is about to begin, Damien says as he places the gag back in her mouth. Now that he has silenced her, he pulls out a hunting knife, which he uses to cut off her clothes. As he removes the damaged clothing, he notices she has her nipples pierced and a tattoo of a rose around her belly button. Overwhelmed with joy, he grabs her by the hair and slams her head 3 times against the wall to cause a bit of confusion. Nauseous from the mix of alcohol and tranquilizer, along with the hits to the head, Stacy throws up. But since she's gagged, she chokes on it. Some of the vomit leaks from the... Some of the vomit leaks from the gag as Damien walks back into the room with a sledgehammer. He removes the gag so she can clean the mess around her face. The last thing he needs is her dying in her own vomit. Let me move that. Dying in her own vomit before the lessons are learned. While cleaning the vomit, he explains to her that... I know, baby. Explains to her that this is something that simply needs to happen to move forward. It isn't personal, but it's a life lesson taught the hard way. He places the gag back into place. How? As tears run down Stacy's face, Damien has the sledgehammer in hand. Mocking her, he decides to show her a little victory dance. Not amused by his antics, Stacy tries to look away, causing him to become angry. He swings the sledgehammer, hitting her legs. She lets out a muffled yell. Crying and screaming, Stacy tries to avoid making any type of eye contact with Damien. She knows she won't be freed anytime soon, and she'll most likely die in this room. Damien stares into those watery eyes and signals her to shut up by placing his index finger on the ball gag. Trying to appease him, she stops screaming, but she cannot help but whine due to the pain she feels. Unhappy that she doesn't stop making noise, he grabs the cheese grater one more time, placing it on her forehead. He removes the gag so she can spit out the vomit in her mouth. Oh my God, I'm sorry. I'm so effing sorry, Stacy cries out. I can change. I will change. Please stop this. Damien doesn't say a word. It appears she has finally gotten through to him. Dropping the cheese grater, he falls to his knees, looking at her eyes as she looks back at him. He sits on the floor, still making eye contact with her. He reaches for the sledgehammer as she looks on, horrified. With his sledgehammer back in his hands, he stands and takes an even stronger swing, this time towards her legs to make sure that upon impact, the bones in her legs break. Stacy screams a bloody yell as she bows her head to look at her legs. What she sees nearly caused her to faint. Her bones are sticking out of her legs and the blood rushes down. Damien licks the blood from her legs as he laughs maniacally. She offers a truce in which she'll never mention anything he has done to her as long as he lets her leave tonight. She'll sign Christina over to him so she can live a life without someone there to hold her back. This is something Damien finds offensive. He has no intentions of letting her go, which he feels he has made clear to her on countless occasions. Damien, Please, Mr. Hall, I mean no disrespect. I honestly understand why you are angry, she says as she cries without an answer. Damien, like a madman, looks around the room to see what else is laying around that he could use to abuse her with. At the far corner of the room, there's a dumbbell set. He grabs a 75-pound dumbbell and strikes her on the stomach. He believes he might have caused some internal injuries as she coughs up blood. He wants to see if she can be distracted from that pain with another pain. He pulls on one of her pierced nipples, stretching it out enough to place it inside a wire cutter and with a quick snap, he cuts her left nipple off. He throws it inside a jar with alcohol. Hey, Stacy, focus on me. Would you like a bottle of vodka? Damien asks, testing her. Yes, please. I can't deal with this agony any longer, she answers. Okay. I'm going to get you that bottle. Don't worry. I'll be right back. Thank you, she replies as he walks into the other room. Stacy, I'm sorry, but I'm out of a bottle. I only have a gallon. Is that okay with you? Damien asks as he approaches her. Yes, that's fine. The more the merrier. Just give it to me, please, she answers. Oh, don't you worry, my dear. I will, he says. You effing see. Haven't you learned anything from what I've been putting you through? You were supposed to turn down the vodka. Especially after I offered the gallon, Damien yells at Stacy. Just as she was about to give her explanation, Damien smashes the gallon over her head. The alcohol pours through her body and onto her wounds, mixing with blood. She points out that it burns. In the heat of the moment, given that she's already screaming in pain, he cuts off her right nipple and it bounces it off her forehead. She passes out due to all the blood loss. Taking advantage that she passed out, Damien places the gag on her again. He leaves the room to get a new bed for her so she can be comfortable. After all, everyone needs to rest comfortably. Inside the hallway closet, Damien pulls out a nice nail bed that he had prepared years ago as a way of bondage with an ex-girlfriend. He doesn't know anyone else that kinky. He wants to give it to Stacy so she can rest. Damien covers the nails with a long red sheet as he doesn't want to ruin the surprise. He's dying to see the expression on her face when he shows her the new sleeping arrangement. He drags the bed back into the room and places it in front of Stacy. He frees her from the wall. But just as he has managed to free her right hand, she hears a knock at the door, causing him to leave Stacy hanging on the wall from her left hand. Okay, so that is the end of chapter 3. The next one is chapter 4, Unfortunate. Okay, so that's the end. We will continue next time. In the meantime, please remember to like, share, subscribe. If you think I'm doing a good job, if you think I should do them more often, or, cut me a little slack, because I did slack a little bit, but, I was very busy. I'm very sorry. But please remember, like, share, subscribe, come back for more, comment, tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about me. I'll see you all next time. Bye.